Mo. Welcome to the Trial to Paid podcast, second episode. Good to have you on.
Glad to be here.
So yeah, just to kick things off, I'm just wondering if you might have a guiding principle to share with the listeners, something that just sort of influences how you build products and businesses and just keeps you moving forward.
That's the hardest question to start with.
I know it is.
because I remember when I joined Junaid in making LiGo and the other products that we're making at Ithaqa. That's the main company. So we sort of have a parent company, and then we make products inside that umbrella. He had this, I would say, 9 mission statements and a huge, I would say, like 4 to 5 pages long philosophy on what Ithaqa stands for. And the summary of all of that is basically that, everything is changing because of AI now, right? And this was at a time when we had not sort of internalized this. I mean, I was coming from an AI development technology firm that was Antimatter. We were developing AI solutions. But even there, we had not sort of internalized how huge of an impact it was going to have. So the underlying philosophy was, if we cannot do something with AI, we don't do it. That's number one. So we have to be extremely, disciplined about that. Secondly, if something can be done with AI, it must be done with AI. You don't do without it. And third, it was basically an idea that, you don't give the job of one person to 2 people. Right. So if one person can handle everything, then they should be handling everything. And so that's why we sort of don't really have any clear boundaries around the roles. What we like to call it is, we have wild cards. So people who are experts in pretty much every single domain, and they can jump in and, contribute whenever they want. And that necessarily means that we have to be leaner than most companies. In fact, at this point in time, it's just the two of us founders. We had some contractors, we had some employees in the meantime, but we kind of automated so much of the work that we did not need them anymore.
So lean on automation, AI, and sort of embrace wearing many hats.
Yep.
And the people you look for. So that's cool. So, okay, just by way of a sort of very short kind of lead into your startup product, LiGo. I'm pronouncing that.
Yeah.
Is it LiGo or LiGo?
We call it LiGo, but a lot of people call it LiGo, so it's the same thing.
LiGo, cool. So just to kind of give the headline on that. So as you describe it on your website, a full stack LinkedIn system, not just another post generator, which I think is interesting. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But just kind of first of all, I just think it would be interesting to just go into your kind of backstory a little bit. So you kind of personally really. So I guess first of all, I'm presuming that you code, or I mean, obviously maybe use some AI tools and stuff, but you have a background in coding.
Everyone does everything.
Yeah. So I'm just interested to know, so that, how did you sort of get into coding, kind of get the bug initially and sort of start building things? Where did that start?
Okay, so I wouldn't say I'm necessarily by personality a coder. In fact, in my first exposure to programming was actually during my year gap before university. That's the year I put in as my chief failure officer, by the way, because I was on a year gap and I was basically stuck in a room for the entire year. And that's when I discovered programming. I tried to do some courses, but couldn't be disciplined with that. But that was just an idea. Okay, this seems interesting. I would like to probably pursue this as a career, try to understand. Because I was heavily into philosophy at the time, reading, formal logic. I was reading Kant, Wittgenstein, all of these people. And there was so many, overlaps with the actual logic behind computer programming that I was seeing, that I was like, okay, I've got to study this. So it wasn't until I came into university, and it wasn't until the 6th semester of university when I actually started to take it seriously. Because I think in the first 2 or 3 years, I was just like, this seems like too much work. I was very lazy at the time, right? But in the 6th semester, when COVID hit, that was the time I remember, I was like, holy shit, I'm not going to get a better chance than this to really upskill and develop my skill set here. So that's when I decided to go like as deep as possible into C++. That was the language at the time. It was the love of my life. I was like constantly reading the C++ standard, trying to understand things from a first principles perspective. I had a Stack Overflow account, getting some comma and all of that. And my first job out of university was also in C++. It was as a quantitative researcher at a very secret sort of hedge fund. So there was this hedge fund in the US that had an offshore in Pakistan, and that's where I began working. And it was a very interesting job because there was a lot of programming, uh, the scientific programming, not just general, the front end and the other stuff. And there was a lot of statistics, mathematics, and finance involved as well. So that was my exposure, and that's the part that I loved about programming, was just to express mathematical or statistical constructs in programming. So my all of my programming, I would say, the what do you call that? The zest for programming was limited to this scientific computing domain. Uh, and that's what I was. I think my favorite languages at the time were Julia, Rust, and C++. These were the ones I primarily worked
Yeah.
in.
So I guess that sort of naturally did that naturally sort of lead you towards the AI path? Obviously, that being
Yep,
quite sort of mathematical at its core.
that was the thing I majored in during university. Actually, it wasn't a
Yeah.
part of the university curriculum. I was just doing online courses on the side. I think I did around maybe 36 or 37 in just a single summer vacation. And that's when I learned as much about AI as I could.
And so, I mean, before you sort of got onto LiGo, I mean, did you build any sort of side projects or anything like that?
So I was doing freelancing initially.
Yeah.
Right after university, I was doing freelancing at my job, and then when we started Antimatter, it was supposed to be a product company. That was probably the first product that I worked on as a front end engineer, not as an AI, because it wasn't about AI. But after a while, we realized that okay, we're not going to be able to make this product or get some decent revenue in it because we don't know how to make products, we don't know how to get the funding and whatnot. So we decided to pivot and just go towards services. Right. So that's when we began developing projects for clients, and I did a lot of projects for clients at the time. But after like 6 months or maybe 1 year, I realized that okay, everybody in the team is a very strong programmer. I'm a strong programmer, but at the same time, we lack anybody on the business development side. So I got to pull back from programming, and it just went more and more in the sales and marketing side.
So, so how did you sort of transition from that part of your background career, I suppose, into to starting LiGo?
Yeah, it's a long story. It's a long story. So Antimatter was a company started by 5 engineers, 5 co-founders. We were university friends. Some of us were housemates as well, and we had this shared love for programming, for hardware technology. But I think we grew really fast. I think in 2 years we got up to 1 million in ARR, and that's when sort of like the cracks begin to appear, in the sense that there was 5 co-founders, so everybody's going to have their own opinions, and then we had
Right.
some external investment as well. They also had their own opinions, and there was just too much politics going on at the time when I decided that maybe it's time for me to move on, right? Because we need less heads at the
Yeah.
top. So we kind of had this strategic disagreements between us. I wanted to narrow down as much as possible, but the investors wanted us to be as broad as possible because they wanted us to go for the enterprise and so on and so forth. And there was just so much of this noise happening. So that's when I left. And Junaid, who's my co-founder now, he was already doing it, and he had this mega plan of making 100 micro SaaS over the next, I don't know, 10, 20 years,
Right.
right? So that's what I jumped into. I had no intention of making micro SaaS, but I knew Junaid from my school years. He was practically the best guy in terms of the academics and everything, and he was the go-getter that everybody looked up to. And he'd been doing a remote job for so many years, making more than anybody else in our circle. And when he decided to just go on his own way, that was a very deliberate decision on his part. So he had to leave behind maybe a six-figure job to do this thing. So it was a big step, and that's what I jumped into. And initially, in the first month, I had some of my own ideas. We decided that, well, hey, so AI compliance is going to be a big challenge in Europe at the very least, because Europe has these regulations, but nobody's complying with those. So that was the thesis, that why not just deliver AI compliance solutions to European markets? Let's just go with that in the beginning. So we were doing some initial tests on LinkedIn, trying to reach out to people, posting about that and whatnot. And after a month or so of doing that, we kind of realized that Europeans just don't care. Like they don't want to move fast. They don't care, right? They're kind of sleeping, and by the time the regulations are actually going to kick in 2025 or maybe beyond, by then either we'll be dead or the regulations would have changed, right? So that was the problem. In the meantime, so since our primary validation channel was LinkedIn, we were posting about that, and this was at the time, by the way, when LinkedIn was still sort of functioning, like not like it is right now. It's pretty dead. I'm not sure why, but yeah. So Junaid wanted to make my work easier. He just hacked up like a prototype in 2 days on making very targeted posts, because we were making pivots very fast. We were trying to target healthcare sector and then something else and something else every single week. So it was a lot of pain for me to go and search for, understand those industries and then write very targeted posts for each of them.
Yeah.
So you made that prototype that had this idea of content theme inside it. So it just
So
defined.
just briefly there then. So does this link to the 100 micro SaaS idea in that you could create a content sort of engine for each of them quite easily?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Makes sense.
So he just made up that prototype very quickly with a central idea of a content theme. So you just define your topics, your audience, and give it some more context if you want. And then was able to generate, I would say, quite reasonable post at the time. Like it was 60 to 70% there, and all I had to do was just edit some parts out and then make a post. Right. So I used it for like a couple of weeks. And I was like, this is a huge time saver, right? And Junaid was like, yeah, it is. Let's just go and develop this thing completely. So then there was this almost like 30 to 40 days of development cycle for the first MVP, and it was 30 to 40 days simply because we followed the advice of a senior engineer who told us to go for Firebase and whatnot, and we did not have any expertise in that. So we kind of we built the whole thing, and then we was like, scrap this whole thing. We were just gonna go as simple and scrappy as possible. Like the first version of LiGo was so bad. I think Junaid just actually posted a screenshot of that. You can go take a look at that. It looked like an application from the 1980s, right? But we got our first few paid users on that. That's the main thing, right? Because it actually saved people a lot of time when it came out. But I think the timing was probably could not have been worse, because the moment we came out into the market, there were so many other people who were doing the exact same thing. So it's been an uphill battle from day one for us. But I think right now we are kind of on an upward trajectory, on a very solid path.
So great. So just zooming out a little bit then. So if you were to describe what in essence LiGo does and who it's for now, obviously you've explained the path of how you sort of scratched your own itch to sort of create this product, and then it became a product in its own right. But who is it for now, and why do they need it?
Yeah, I don't think it has changed since the beginning who it is for. So in the initial stages, our idea was that it's probably for freelancers or independent consultants, right? So the freelancers category has sort of gone out of the window, because those people usually don't have the money, and LinkedIn is not a very reliable channel for them anyway, right? But independent consultants, agency owners, founders, all of these that were our secondary markets, they are still very important right now. But another layer that we have seen happen is sort of psychologically, the people who like to systemize every single thing, they really like LiGo, right? So the creative side usually do not like it, of course, because for them writing posts on LinkedIn is a creative sense of creative expression. So they don't like to automate that stuff as much as possible. But the people who are very systematic, who treat it as a revenue channel, they appreciate that. And the other thing is, you have people in Brazil, in Italy, in a lot of these countries who don't speak English, right? And this kind of struggle with that. So for them, LiGo is really excellent. And I think a lot of our paid user base is actually from these countries.
I also just picked up on might be one of your posts actually, how also just trying to kind of put forward this idea that it's, in sort of like a B2B SaaS or something like that, that it's not, it shouldn't just be one person like the CEO or something trying to all post in a particular voice. You want to come at it sort of from some different angles.
Yep. So this I think we came to this realization just a couple of months ago, that the real value for LiGo is not just for individuals, it's for entire teams, right? So you have usually it's just the founder who's posting, right? But if you think about it, the idea of a content theme, once you make it for somebody and you back it up with their particular writing style and their experiences, you're able to generate content for them that is, more or less, I would say exactly like how they would write. Right. So a lot of these teams have a challenge that the reason they cannot activate their employees on LinkedIn is because they're worried about a lot of things. They're worried about somebody speaking things that is not going to align with the company. That's number one. Then they start worrying about are they even going to stick to that? Like you can get you can talk to your employees, tell them to post more, but after a couple of days they're going to be like,
Yeah.
this is too much work, right?
Yeah.
So if you can automate that and you can make teams, and then we added this feature called the delegate access. So now you can invite somebody to manage your account on your behalf. So the way it works with teams now is you get like 3 to 5 people in your team who you want to build as thought leaders. You make an account for them, and then you invite a single social media manager to manage all of their accounts. So they can sort of be their ghostwriter from a single entry point.
So I guess a couple of things then. How do you sort of train it to kind of speak in a particular person's voice, and what's their contribution? Do they sort of feed in ideas for the posts, and then it helps them express those ideas?
Okay, so we are covering it from pretty much every single angle at this point in time. Initially, it was just you would automatically generate ideas from the content themes. You like or dislike an idea. If you like an idea, you could generate a post. But at this point in time, if you can either generate ideas from your themes automatically, you can add more context to those ideas if you like. You can add your own ideas and back them up with the theme. Or if you have a newsletter or a social media post or whatever, and you would just want to repurpose that, you also have that option. And if you actually like posting with ChatGPT or Claude, we have MCP integrations with those. So you can just go and install those MCP integrations, and it's going to basically pull up your history from your LinkedIn, understand your writing style, and be able to give you content in your own style. So that's essentially the way it works. The way it copies your voice is, the moment you sign up, we're going to ask you for your LinkedIn profile, and we just get the public data from you. So like the last couple of posts to understand how you write, like, what are some facts about your personality. So we've sort of built this understanding of the user. And in fact, the more you interact with the product, the more memories we're going to build of you, and the better it gets over time.
You mentioned the initial version you built was pretty sort of retro looking, basic, and you ended up throwing it away. Was that sort of part? Did you do a sort of kind of deliberate sort of validation process around this, or did you kind of already know that this problem needed solving?
It was like, it's part of our philosophy that anything that can be done with AI, we should do with AI. So with AI, we could only do a very basic version of this, which we did. And then, Junaid and I, we both have a GTM background. So we both can go to market for many years. And we were both like, if we can sell this ugly thing, then we can sell anything. Right? So we were like, let's just go and validate that. So the way we validated this initially was I just started a personal branding cohort in a Discord server. I invited some people over, trying to teach them how to write on LinkedIn and whatnot. And we went for like a month or so. The plan was to go for 3 months, but it was too tiring. After a month, I was like, screw it. The job is done. We just wanted to validate the idea that it's going to work or not. And by the end of that cohort, we were able to get like 60 to 70 people in the beta version from that cohort only, right? And they were using the product, they were making good use of it, and they were impressed with it. So I think that's how we validated the idea. And then of course we the moment we launched the MVP, we went and made some Reddit threads and got huge traction from those threads. I think we were able to get like 400-500 signups in a couple of weeks at that time.
Yeah, okay. So how did you, you mentioned you set up a Discord for the kind of initial, I guess what turned out to be this sort of initial kind of almost like beta group who were trying out this. So, and how did you kind of spread the word about the Discord group?
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just talked about it on LinkedIn, just DM people. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. And then Reddit as well. I mean, hear quite a lot about Reddit at the moment. It often crops up in stories about how people get things started now. It seems like a good.
So Reddit actually came, I think, much later in the process. When we were actually done making the product, that's when we went on Reddit. The initial list of people who we got in the Discord server was actually all from LinkedIn, and it was, of course, at the time when LinkedIn was actually performing well for us and for everybody. So you could get like maybe 10,000 impressions on a really good post, and now you can barely get like 500. So that's a problem.
Yeah, I can attest. Great. So basically, you did some posting on LinkedIn around a sort of personal branding kind of idea and helping with content, I guess, and then you got those people talking in the Discord, and then you sort of built that initial kind of MVP around them.
Yep.
One other question around the product, I guess the sort of positioning of it then. So you mentioned, I mean, when you started this, it was probably very good timing, and there were less tools like this.
Yep.
It seems there are quite a few now. Do you still feel that you have a sort of like a kind of USP or sort of point of differentiation amongst the others?
Yeah. I think we have probably the most solid USB of all. The challenge is just communicating that, because I think at this point there is only one solution on the market that is covering every single angle of LinkedIn. So we're not just for posting. We also have analytics. We also have comments. We also have a CRM inside it that we're currently building out. And there are so many other things that we're also building out in this. So like we're going for a very horizontal approach at this point. We're not trying to be, very deep into a single feature. We're trying to build as many as possible. So if you look at maybe the top one is Taplio, right? Taplio is good at posting, is good at the inspiration part and everything. But when it comes to comments, is absolutely bad. I'm saying this, maybe I'm biased, but you can try it yourself. But like I've used every single solution in the market. Like every time I see a new competitor come up, I go and use that, because that's my way of understanding, what gap can we fill. Right.
Yeah. So well, I mean, I can definitely tell from your posts and just looking on the site that kind of ensuring that the posts are high quality and that they do represent the person's voice, sort of authentically. It seems to be very much baked into the core of what you're doing.
And more than that, it's the comments. I think the comments we have are probably the best in the market, and that's because a lot of these other tools, I think Engage was a biggest one, and it just got banned by LinkedIn. By the way, they had an engagement pod running in the background.
Right.
They got banned. What they do is they just give you generic high quality comments. They are not backed up by your profile. They're not backed up by your content themes or your style. But with LiGo, since your entire profile is backed up with your profile, with your memories, and you can define your own custom styles, the comments are almost 95% there. If a majority of our paid user base actually comes from the Chrome extension rather than the actual web app.
Right. And you mentioned some of these other tools getting banned.
Yeah.
And is that sort of a constant kind of looming threat, or do you feel like you're playing the game the right way, so it's not a problem for you? Or?
Yeah, I think we are more or less on the line. Like if we just take one more step further, we're in the danger zone. But right now we're just more or less on the line. So the recent Engage got banned. Of course, they were doing the engagement part, so that's completely out of the question. The other thing they were doing was when you install the Chrome extension and you comment on a post, it actually wrote the comment for you. Right. And that's against LinkedIn's policy, because you're actually directly interacting with the DOM and changing things in real time. It's not user initiated. So with us, you just copy paste the post, you get the comments, and you have to copy paste the comments and make edits and then post it.
Okay.
So that puts us in that safe zone. But of course, the fact that we have that Engage button show up in the DOM itself is a bit of a yellow flag at this point in time. It's not too, like, if we do one more thing that is against LinkedIn terms of service, then maybe we're in that area. But right now we are not.
It's a bit. It does seem. I mean, I'm sure they have their terms. Maybe it's black and white in there, but it seems pretty grey. And there's obviously plenty of these tools around, and I guess they could just ban them all tomorrow if they wanted to, but they're not.
So I think one of the tools that actually can confidently say that it's compliant is Authored Up, and we look up to them a lot in terms of their compliance, right? So we've tried to model pretty much every single thing behind them. So I think, in fact, right now, currently, as we're talking, we're in the process of removing that Engage button as well. So we're going to go for a even more compliant step forward there. But if as long as Authored Up is safe, we are safe.
Yeah, and I guess it's sort of, there are some parallels with, say, like SEO and the old Black Hat days, and that all got Google called time on that, and that was a good thing. But still, SEO lives on, and you just got to kind of do it the right way, haven't you?
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about progress so far, I suppose, more with the kind of the business side of it, in a sense. So when did you launch LiGo?
We launched it in October last year. That was the beta launch.
Yep. And random question, actually. Just I noticed it's on a subdomain, and I was just wondering why that was, and why maybe you hadn't transitioned to a...
Yeah, this was a very confusing decision for us at the beginning, because as I said, that we have a parent company, and eventually we want to build 100 micro SaaS, right?
Yeah.
So we want the parent company domain to get stronger and stronger over time, so that we can back the other ones up. But so at this point, so that's what went into the decision. The other problem was, at the time when we were looking for domains for LiGo, all of the .com domains were too expensive or just not available.
Yeah.
Right. So we decided, let's just go with a subdomain for now. We'll worry about it later. But now we are planning to migrate, because we've got feedback from a lot of people that when they see the subdomain, they just feel like it's a bit sketchy. Right. So
I think nowadays it feels like, is it a kind of a bit like you've spun something up on like sort of V0 or something like that, and you're just like, oh, it's a little test site or something. So that was just what it made me feel a little bit. So I was just curious as to
everybody says that. So now we're taking that seriously. We're gonna migrate for you.
Yeah, might be a big unlock.
Yeah, big unlock.
You never know. So in terms of I don't know what you're willing to share, but just in terms of kind of MRR, even if it's just sort of a range or so, and kind of number of customers.
Yeah. So across the product portfolio, I think we're making around $5,000 per month right now. So we actually have two products. One is LiGo, the other one is Audio AI, which we don't talk about because we just kind of just hacked that up in a week or so and just put it up, and it just keeps on bringing subscriptions. I don't know why. We're planning to give it more dedicated time after this current marketing sprint for LiGo, because that product has huge potential. So I don't know if you've used Whisperflow or Mac Whisper on Mac.
I haven't. No.
It's a dictation software, right? So you can talk anywhere. It's gonna, voice to text anywhere you want. That's what we're trying to build, but for Windows, right? So currently, Audio AI works in browsers. It does not work everywhere, but we're trying to make it everywhere after this marketing sprint. But that's one of the strongest signals that we had with Audio AI was just a Chrome extension, right? And after the initial flurry of users, it's just continually growing because the Chrome store has its own distribution channel. Yeah. And that's what inspired us to make a Chrome extension for LiGo as well. Because once your Chrome extension starts to ramp up, then it's just an automatic distribution channel that you don't have to worry about. It's just going to keep on bringing users more and more. So that's the I don't know, I think I kind of went off topic. I was trying to answer that. $5,000 is the across the product portfolio. LiGo is currently growing and growing. That's 50% of the revenue currently is just LiGo.
Great. And roughly how many customers?
Roughly, I mean, you would have to reverse engineer that, but probably around, I think, 100 users that we have on the paid plan. And
it's a free trial, isn't it?
It's a free trial. So in terms of the signups, I think we've had maybe, 3,000 signups at this point in time.
Yeah.
But the paid users are much less. So we had a lot of churn around February. There was too many bugs. Otherwise, we would be double the revenue that we are right now.
Yeah. Great. And you talked about how you sort of got your initial customers. Well, I suppose you talked about how you kind of validated the MVP and kind of maybe got your initial kind of users. But then was there a sort of a phase after that when you launched and you needed I guess you probably did some more work on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Word around?
So I think the initial phase was just making some very flamboyant Reddit threads. And we got so many viral threads that I think in pure numbers, I got around 500,000 views in the first week or two on Reddit, on the threads, right? And that's where the majority of the users came from. But then I got banned from all of the subs. So I had to make a new account and start from scratch. And that's when we
pretty much the exact same story in the previous episode.
I was just listening to that. So he said that
he just switched to another account and carried on, but
carried on. You just gotta do it. You just gotta do it.
It's just it's kind of crazy because everyone's selling on there, aren't they? Yeah.
You don't get many good channels if you're a bootstrapper, so you just have to make the most of what you have. And
Yeah.
the rest of the sprint was mostly on Twitter, on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, by the way, just worked for a couple of weeks and then it stopped working for us. It still hasn't
Right.
worked. So it works as an awareness channel that somehow works in B2B deals, which you haven't made too many of. But in terms of pure user acquisition, it was kind of bad. I think around month 3 and onward, all of our user acquisition is from two places. One of them is directories. So there's a directory called There's an AI for that. We listed on there. That brings us the majority of the users so far. And the other is our own SEO. That's what we spent a lot of time on. So it's
Yeah.
bringing around 100,000 impressions every month.
Yeah, I heard that there's an AI for that. Is it Product Hunt?
It's
Is it
it's a
something like that?
directory, kind of like Product Hunt, but
Yeah.
sort of, it's more of a directory where people search for products that they
Yeah.
want to use, rather than Product Hunt, which is more of, I would say it's a Y Combinator hangout at this point, Product Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And yeah, just briefly in terms of, I mean, you mentioned you unfortunately sort of churned a few customers due to some bugs. I guess you probably
Yeah,
fixed the worst of those bugs now.
absolutely.
But is it do you find it once people are set up, it tends to be a sort of fairly kind of sticky product?
Yeah, so we actually had churn issues from the very beginning for multiple reasons. Number one is when you have a platform product like this, right? The usage of a product relies in a lot of ways on the behavior of the platform, right? So if people are not disciplined enough to stick to LinkedIn posting for a long time, they're not going to be using your product anyway. So we had a lot of people who were just starting out on LinkedIn and they decided, hey, well, why not we just use LiGo to get started? And after a couple of weeks, they decided it was a lot of work. Let's cancel the subscription, right? So that was a challenge. So that gave us a signal that, okay, we don't want to go after people who are just starting out on LinkedIn. We want to go after people who are mostly on LinkedIn already, right? And when we got those people, they subscribe within the first few days. They don't even wait for the free trial to be over, and then they stick around for a very long time, right?
That makes
And
sense. So you're kind of looking for people who already have that sense of sort of discipline and kind of
yep,
posting regularly. They just want to do it a little bit more efficiently.
exactly. So the time base, the time saving is the main USP for them. And the other thing is that, initially, of course, the bugs were some of the reasons that people could not activate the entire product. So we've been doing very aggressively outbound customer support right now. Anybody who signs up on LiGo, we send them a DM and ask them about their experience. We actually track the API errors and whatnot, whatever they get in the backend, and we reach out to those people and tell them, hey, you got this error, this is the solution. So we had to do that manually, but at this point in time, so our MRR graph was probably, up and down for a long time until last month when it's just been constantly going up a little bit.
Yep.
Right. So that's the signal that we were looking for. Is that now the product is at a mature stage where
Yeah.
they're not too many issues. So it's gonna keep going.
So you're just feeling that sense that you've achieved some level of product market fit
Yep.
now, and you just need
100%.
to kind of scale things up a bit. So have you? I mean, you doing any kind of paid acquisition, or do you have any plans to?
We tested out a little bit on LinkedIn, a little bit on Reddit, and X as well. So Reddit was pretty good initially, then it tapers off very quickly because the kind of user we get from Reddit is just not the kind of user we want. So people who click on the ad on Reddit, they are generally just getting started on LinkedIn. So that's not the
Yeah.
ICP we want. On LinkedIn itself, the ads are very expensive. The targeting was pretty bad. Maybe that was the reason. So we're just gonna run a couple more experiments to see what happens. But the main problem with LinkedIn is just that the ads are a bit more expensive than we would like them to be. Right? It doesn't make sense for us to be spending $100 to acquire a single lead when the product itself is just $64 per month, right? So
Yeah.
we have to figure some mechanics out there. Maybe get them on a team plan or whatnot. Maybe get them on a very a white glove consulting offer or whatever. So that's an option we're exploring. X worked really well in terms of driving the clicks and impressions, but I think it had the same problem as Reddit. The kind of user was just not the kind of user who's active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious where you need to look for your customers, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
So,
the thing.
so So that's the challenge with paid channels for us right now is LinkedIn is probably the only viable one. But in order to reach the right market on LinkedIn, it's just very expensive unless we figure out some ad collateral that's just going to blow it out of the park.
Great. Okay. Let's just focus a little bit then for a minute on the actual, actual sort of product slash MVP. So how long did it take you to build the MVP? And did you build it? Do you have a team who worked on it?
Yeah. So the beta version was built entirely by Junaid himself.
Yeah.
So that was the one that took us 1 month, and then after that it was basically tag teaming on this. So you could roughly think of it like this: that the backend was almost entirely Junaid, and the front end, especially the website, all of the pages, that's where I was mostly active. So we were tag teaming on both of these. We had one or two contractors, but they mainly worked on a couple of pages, and they also but then majority of their time was spent on the other product on Audio AI, not LiGo itself. So LiGo is almost 95% Junaid and me, probably 60 to 70% Junaid, and the rest is me. So that's what we were making. And the MVP itself, so the beta version was just the beta version. The MVP took us, I would say, another 40 days. And since then, it's been a process of iterative improvements. I don't know what to even call the current stage right now. I don't know what it is. It's probably product.
Yeah, exactly. The long road.
Yeah.
So, and so realistically, sort of two kind of co-founders and technical people, developers.
Yeah.
But, so it's kind of a little bit different to the usual sort of like, you've got a hacker and a hustler or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah. You're kind of both doing some coding and both doing some selling and marketing.
Yeah. So we do this in sprints. So we have a development sprint for a month, and then we do a marketing sprint for a month. So, but the ratios are change a little bit. So Junaid is pretty much 90% development when he's doing development. I'm like 60% development when I'm doing development. So that's the idea.
Yep. And just a kind of brief sort of idea of your kind of tech stack and kind of any sort of key frameworks, tools that you use.
Whatever the AI is comfortable with, we don't ask questions, but we do have a tech stack. So front end is all Next.js. The back end was is in Python, Flask. Because when you're programming with AI, you can't get fancy with the tech stack. You just have to use what the AI is most comfortable with.
Yeah. Python's always a good fit there, isn't it? And then I guess then in terms of kind of the sort of LLM model that you're building this on, is it all
of them?
All of them. Okay. So you get a choice.
So for building it out, of course, we use Cursor. So whatever the model does the job, we just use that. But inside the application, if you're asking, what would we use to write the post and whatnot, we have different options. So we primarily everything is on Claude, but comments are we test it out, and I would say GPT is much better at comments. So that's what we use there. Yeah. But you can change that in the settings. You're going to get the comments from the Claude, or you can even put Gemini or Grok there. So that's up to you, whatever you like.
So what do you find that Claude's better at then?
At this point, I'm a little conflicted. I would say GPT is much better at writing posts and comments both. Initially, I felt like Claude was just way better. But right now, I think GPT is there because I don't know what they did to Claude. Initially, it was so much better, but somehow I think it got nerfed somewhere along the way. Now it goes into the habit of repeating some things, and that's what I don't like.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So can we move on to just getting an idea really of maybe some of the kind of big wins and then maybe some of the kind of, I don't know, their failures, but sort of things you learned along the way. So I guess, starting with, would you be able to give me sort of an example of two things that you feel worked really well, whether it's on the marketing or the sort of product side?
Yeah, on the marketing side, you won't believe this, nobody believes this, but our best distribution channel is actually Medium.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So, so the medium was a slow burn in the sense
Yep.
that Junaid had been writing a blog for a long time, not very consistently, but he had this instinct that medium can prove to be a really good channel over time. So we were just pushing out one article every single week or so, and then luckily when we released Audio AI, we came up with this, and DeepSeek came out, by the way. It was just coinciding, and we decided, hey, why not? Why don't we write a blog on, how, that at this point, prompt engineering is more or less dead. So you just want to give it more and more context. So why not use audio AI or something like that? That's the idea, rough idea of the blog. And so I wrote the blog, and it was a genuinely interesting take. And Junaid posted it from the medium itself, and it became viral. I think it got maybe
Wow.
40, 50,000 claps in a couple of weeks,
And was
and
that just out of the blue, or did he have a sort of a following on there already?
I think the following was, we probably just had maybe 200 followers at that time, so not
Wow.
too much. But that blog got shared so much all over the internet that there was, I think we got maybe 500 or 600 signups from that alone on Audio AI. So that was our signal that we got to do something similar for LiGo now. So we've
Yeah.
been writing on and off different, whenever we have a big feature come out, we write a blog on that, and some of them go, uh, go viral, some of them don't. That's fine. That's up to the platform what they like, what the people like there. But it's probably the most consistent acquisition channel for us than anything else right now.
Interesting. And then are you using AI or your tool to help with those posts, or are you writing those
Yeah.
manually?
So the Medium articles are a mix of human and AI, because we
Yeah.
gotta make them as good as possible. So I write the first draft. I actually write like a couple of drafts with AI with different models, with Claude, with ChatGPT, and then I pick and choose the lines. Every single line has to serve its purpose, because those articles are written with the intention of going viral. The other thing that worked well, and I'm going to get a lot of, I would say, criticism for this, is AI blogs on your
Right.
website. Nobody believes it. I think everybody wants you that if you use AI for your SEO, it's going to hurt you a lot. But I don't know. Maybe they're doing something wrong. Maybe we're doing something right. I'm not sure. But we have a multiple process set up. We have multiple steps in the process for generating a blog. So number one, we don't use the vanilla, I would say, models, either Claude or ChatGPT. That's number one. We don't do that. What we do is, so we have a code base. We centralized our content management system inside the app itself. We don't have an external CMS. So all of the blogs are inside the directory where the code base is, right? So we have this, I would say, separate folder where we given it specific paths to each of the folders where the relevant information is. And every single time I want to write a blog, I just tell it, okay, this is the job, this is the keyword, this is what we want to rank for, right? Go take a look at all of the information. You have the images in this directory and whatnot, and there is like a file which describes, this is the image name and this is what the image is showing. So then the model has every single piece of information it needs to produce a high quality blog. So it is usually a one-shot process at this point in time. It took some time for us to get here, but now it's like a single prompt that tells you what to write, and it's able to get all of the images, all of the relevant links. It's able to do the internal links perfectly, and the tone itself is, of course, we give it the other blogs as an example that this is what we've written before. So this is
Right.
our
So
process. Yeah.
so what are all those images of?
So these are images, either infographics that we made while writing blogs before, or these are screenshots of the application. Because that's the kind of blogs you want to write. Usually are bottom of funnel or middle of funnel, right? So they're going to be either
Yeah.
about your product education or problem awareness. So these are the kind of images you want in that directory. Just put them all there. Describe each of the
Yeah.
images, and every single time. So for example, just yesterday I wrote a blog on Engage AI getting banned, right? So of course that was the perfect opportunity. Engage AI got banned. Here's an alternative, blah blah blah, and it was able to pull the entire command generation flow and the images we have for that flow from the directory and put that in the actual blog. So I didn't have to think about, okay, what image to add here, what to do that. Because that's usually the most laborious part of the writing the blogs is selecting what images to put and what links to put in, how to do the internal linking and whatnot. So we've automated all of that.
So you're doing that literally within your code base, within your repo. You've got your blogs in there.
Yep.
So what are you sort of using like Cursor or something to make your blogs then? Or
yeah. With Cursor, we're just doing.
Well, that's a bit different. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Cool.
Yeah,
it's a bit different. No, it's kind of like I've never heard of it done that way. So did you just come up with that?
I think it was an iterative process. Initially, we had set up some Claude projects for this, but eventually we realized, we're doing a lot of this, in a disjointed way. The reason we were on Claude initially was because we had an external CMS. That's another indie hacker CMS, by the way, called Wisp. But it had a lot of limitations. It used to go down every Monday. I'm not sure. We had an inside joke that maybe Raymond is pushing to prod right now.
They don't want to do it on Friday, so they'll do it on Monday instead.
Yeah, so he would always do that on a Monday, and that was a huge pain. So we decided, let's just internalize the blog, and we'll be better off. Because when you have the blogs hosted externally, then you have to fetch the content of the blogs using the API, and then you cannot give it in the context as easily. So if all of the files are already in your code base, now you can easily reference each of the files that you want to Cursor while writing the blogs.
Okay, and now can you think of one thing that didn't work out so well? Something you learned a hard lesson from?
Oh boy, LinkedIn.
Never again.
Not never again. I would say it's been a slow burn in the sense that it's definitely getting us eyeballs from some high quality prospects. The problem is just that we don't have an offering to make them right now. Right, so we have gotten some people who are looking to eye for a team plan, but we still have some building out to do on that front. So I would say if you have a B2C or a product that is targeted at individuals, maybe LinkedIn is not it. But if you're going for B2B, then it's definitely the channel to be on. So our product is about LinkedIn. So for a long time we had this this sinking feeling that we are selling a LinkedIn solution. If we can't get customers for our own product from LinkedIn, what gives? But it's not the product. It's not our content. The content is fine and everything is fine. It's just the offering is just not what LinkedIn usually prizes.
Yes. So because you've mentioned this a couple of times, I guess you're kind of zeroing this idea of kind of the type of I guess ICP that I know is the right ICP for your product, but also the one that actually LinkedIn can actually can help you find. I mean, because you even mentioned that. I was going to ask you about this actually, because you said that you don't think that LinkedIn's great for like freelancers, for example.
Yeah.
And what's the reasoning? What's the reason there, and why do you think it is that LinkedIn is particularly good? I guess for B2B, I think that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. What I've seen success with on LinkedIn is when you target specific job roles. Now it resonates. Specifically, some special roles like software engineers. LinkedIn is full of them. Maybe it's my own profile. Maybe I had a software engineering background, so my connections are full of that. But I literally nuked every single software engineer from my connections, and I still get impressions from software engineers. I don't know why. So these people are swarming LinkedIn. You have recruiters, you have HR people, you have job seekers, and you have all of these segments and the clusters. Now, if you have a product that very clearly aligns with the job role, you can get a lot of traction from LinkedIn. Right. So for example, if LiGo was a product that was targeted strictly at marketers, and eventually I think the team plan is going to be targeted at VPs of marketing who want to build the company brand and whatnot, then it would make sense for us to be on LinkedIn and talk directly to that job role. Because when you can specify a job role in your post, that those people will stop and start reading the post. Otherwise, if it's just generic thought leadership about how to improve this and that, blah blah blah, people are just going to scroll past. I don't think that's what people open LinkedIn for, generally speaking. They either want to connect with similar colleagues, or they want to get a job, or they want to find a customer. That's what people are for. Sometimes they can be for entertainment, and I did try that angle, by the way. So I think in the first, I would say 3 to 4 months of LiGo, I was actually a complete shit poster on LinkedIn. I had a Korean baby PFP, a baby PFP, and I was making completely unhinged shit posts. I don't recommend anybody to go and stalk my posts from that time, because they were really unhinged. I did try that. The problem is, of course, the people who are there for entertainment, they're not there to buy. So I had to change that
I'm
direction.
gonna have to go and have a look now.
Please don't.
So you didn't go and clean all that up, then delete them all. Too many of them, I suppose.
Well, I like to live dangerously.
Very good. Okay, so great. Okay, well let's look a little ahead to the sort of the future here then. So for LiGo, but just in generally for yourself, even, or for your kind of company or your group, if you like. Do you have sort of short-term goals in mind, longer-term goals, a bigger vision?
Yeah, the short-term goal is always double the revenue.
Yeah,
That's always there.
Can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that. That's the short-term goal. The long-term goal is to at least be able to make a couple more products by the end of next year.
Yeah,
Because that was what Ithaca started for. It was just about a single product. We want to make as many as possible. So like if we get stuck on just growing one product, that's a bad sign for the entire company strategy. So that's the long-term goal. I would say the deeper goal is always to be as clear about our direction and trajectory as we have been so far. I think this is one of the things that I really like about Ithaca, that very few people get to experience in their career, is a company whose direction just makes sense. It's a deeper philosophical point too, because a lot of the times when you ask people, why are they growing, they don't really have a clear answer. Or if you ask them, why are you not growing, they don't have a clear answer. But in our case, every single time we sit down to think about, okay, either of these directions, why we're not growing or why we're growing, we have an answer that is very clear. And usually our answers are maybe 50 to 60% correct. That's a pretty high chance. You usually compare the uncertainties in the business environment. So this is the thing that we want to keep this strong strategic focus on every single thing, and just make decisions that keep on making sense. I think it was LinkedIn's VP of product maybe who said that we may be wrong, but at least we are not confused. That's the philosophy we have. We may be wrong, but we don't want to be confused. Or another way to put it is, we'd rather be roughly right than precisely wrong.
Yeah, and when you are wrong, to know why you were wrong and what you learned from it. Yeah,
you want to know that.
Yep, and with the forthcoming product and those are almost certainly going to have some form of AI.
All of them are going to be pretty much all of them. Because that's what the company stands for. And
do you have an idea for those products yet, or are they just considering a few things?
Oh, we have some cooking up in the burner. One of them is, you can probably guess it's going to be about SEO. Because we were able to do something that a lot of teams haven't yet figured out. By the way, this is something that a lot of people don't know about us. We got 200,000 impressions on our blogs within 30 days. From almost 1,000 impressions per month, right? So that was a huge trajectory. People think that you need to give SEO 6 months or whatnot, but you can get very decent traction within a month if you're really consistent and you go hardcore on this.
Now that's a whole other topic. But how do you, probably $1 million question, but how do you see the sort of future of SEO panning out? With sort of ChatGPT and the likes, and nipping the Google's heels.
Yeah. So you want to, if you're an SEO leader in any company at this point in time, you want to focus on two things. Number one, do not write anything top of funnel. And people have been saying this for so many years. I don't know why people were writing top of funnel. The main purpose of your blog is to educate people either about the problem or about the solution. That's it. You don't want to do any random thought leadership. You don't want to write for the sake of writing. Just these two. If a blog is not educating either about the problem or the solution, scratch it. You don't have to write that, right? And if you're doing keyword-led research and whatnot, always ask, is this keyword either a part of the problem or the solution? If it's not, don't write about it. That's the number one thing. The second thing is, and it's a bit more technical, is I'm not sure how many people are familiar with product-led SEO, but that's the approach that I very strictly follow, right? So the idea of a product-led SEO is that I think at this point in time, the simplest definition would be you don't want content, you want to expose data sets. So the way, another way to say it is, think about Amazon, right? Amazon does not write content. They just have product listings, and those are the pages. Think about Zillow. Wow. They don't have content. They have pages, user generated. Figma doesn't have content. They have user generated templates and whatnot. Miro, Canva, all of these companies that are not threatened by it, whatever is happening in the AI overviews or whatever it is. They all expose sort of their data to the world. Now the challenge, of course, there is, not every product can be very easily translated in that way. But that's the job of a marketer or an SEO person to really figure out how to do that in a way that is going to be useful to people. So, for example, one of the ways that we are exploring right now, and it's a little bit of a gray area with LinkedIn right now, but we gotta figure out some way on that. Is so we have a lot of people sign up on LiGo. We have the analytics and whatnot. We know, this is your industry. This is what you're writing about. This is what's getting traction. This is what's not getting traction. So how about we start making pages on that? Right. So like if you imagine that there was a page where you could just go and say, okay, I'm a software engineer in Berlin. What should I write about on LinkedIn? And it just shows you, okay, these are all the people that fit your profile. This is what they're writing about. Just go and do that. So Taplio probably is already doing that inside the application illegally. So we got to figure out some legal way of doing that, but on the SEO side. So this is the way I think of it is you want to create that content moat on SEO. If you are able to do that, you're golden. Otherwise, you just keep on struggling. But I think if you just follow the first one, middle funnel, bottom funnel, you're more or less there.
And you still think it's sort of a valid approach in terms of more people using ChatGPT to search rather than Google? Yeah. In a roundabout way, it's still going to get you traffic, just a different way.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. What exactly is ChatGPT recommending you at the end? If you're searching for a product, it's going to give you a product listing page. If you're searching for a Figma template, it's going to give you that listing page. So what is it about your product that people are likely to be searching for that you can expose directly instead of giving them 3,000 word essay about the history of that thing?
Great. Just coming back to kind of the future of the company. So presumably you're have been bootstrapping from the start?
So in the beginning, not a single external dollar.
Cool. And is that how you plan to continue?
We don't have any other choice. I mean, none of what we're doing is something that a VC would look at and say, hey, I want to invest in that. Yeah. None of these are 10x or 100x products.
But you could, well, you never know. But you could still raise maybe a little bit to help. But I mean, it's not where you want to go.
So the way we do this is whenever we feel like we're on a cash crunch, we need this, we just do consulting on the side.
Yeah.
That's it. Because Junaid and I, we both have so much experience and so much, I would say, intellectual value in our own persons that all we have to do whenever we need cash is go to some people that we know and tell them, hey, do you need my help? Okay, fine. Let's get some cash in. Fine.
Yep. And so longer term, are you looking to build this company or this group you're building? Is that something you want to hold on to kind of sort of forever, or are you kind of trying to get towards an... Yep.
Forever, yeah.
Kind of legacy?
Just probably not sure if there could be a legacy, but we don't have any plans to sell at any time.
That's not the game plan.
Yeah, that's not the game plan.
Yeah, great.
I mean, where the world is going, I mean, if World War III happens, maybe none of us have a legacy anymore. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yes. The jury's out. Great. Cool. Okay. Good stuff. So no, it's a really interesting story. I mean, it's a lot of kind of takeaways there for everyone. Just brilliant. So just to kind of start wrapping things up. So do you have a kind of a tip or kind of message more for a kind of founder who might not even have started yet, maybe just sort of sitting on the sidelines and thinking of having a go at something? Have you got any kind of message for them?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to starve to death, don't start. Because the way things are happening, I think in a couple of years, all of the jobs are disappearing, and we don't know where the world is going. So if you don't start now, it's like goodbye forever. And like I'm not joking here, because I get approached by a lot of juniors in the university and whatnot. They are like, "Hey, Sam, I can't find a job. What do I do?" Dude, there are no jobs. What do you mean you can't find one? There isn't any. How do I tell you? How do I tell you that? Unless you're literally in the top, 5% of candidates in any field, don't expect to get hired. That's the reality that we're living in right now. So my advice to everybody who's in university right now is to start their own startup right now, because that's the fastest way you can get to the top 5% of candidates. If you succeed in a startup, of course, that's the best outcome. If you fail, you automatically graduate into the top 5%. That's the way you want to think of it. If you are currently stuck in a corporate job and you want to do your own thing, well, you just got to do your own thing. You don't leave your job just yet, but just start today. You just have to start
something on the side and see where it goes.
Yep.
Great. So LiGo, the URL for that. Well, I can put that into the show notes because it's a little
it's a bit complicated,
a tricky. So I'll put that in there. And obviously, there's going to be people listening to this who may be interested in using the product. Having a look, so they can go get a trial. They can get a demo, can't they, if they fill out the form?
They get a demo if you just send me a DM.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and best place to reach you these days? LinkedIn, presumably?
Unfortunately.
Anywhere else that you spend time? Online?
I'm thinking of starting a Substack, but I have to figure out what do I want to write about there. I'm thinking of doing, we're starting a sort of a services wing inside Ithaca as well, so maybe I could write about that. Not sure.
All right, we'll pop a few links in the show notes to those, and I think that's about it. It's been an absolute pleasure, Mo.
Absolutely.
Learning about your story, and as I said, there's so much to unpack there. And
I hope if it wasn't the most insightful, at least it should be the funniest.
Yeah, there are definitely a few giggles. All right, great. Thanks, Mo. All the best, and I'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.